Welcome back to The Explainer. Whenever we picture a thriving, packed restaurant, our minds instantly jump to the magic happening in the kitchen, right? We think about the chef's incredible culinary skills, that dazzling plating, or just the perfect vibe in the dining room. But today, we're going to peek behind the curtain. We are uncovering the hidden secret sauce to a restaurant's success, a discipline that goes way, way beyond just cooking great food. All right, let's dive right in, because we really need to passionately debunk a massive myth in the hospitality industry. Procurement isn't just some mundane administrative task. It's not just a tired chef blindly ticking boxes on a clipboard at midnight. As our source material lays out so clearly, it is a hardcore strategic function. It literally dictates whether a place survives its first year or shuts its doors for good. So what's the actual difference between just buying food and strategic procurement? Well, if you've ever worked in a restaurant, you know the absolute sheer panic of a Friday night service when you suddenly run out of a signature ingredient. It's a nightmare. Or maybe you know the pain of seeing expensive produce just rotting away in the walk-in fridge because someone overordered. Look, anyone can buy food, but strategic procurement? That is your ultimate problem-solving tool. It's the system that prevents those kitchen nightmares from ever happening in the first place.
To really wrap our heads around this, we're going to hit 5 key pillars today. We'll look at the backbone of operations, shaping menu performance, driving the customer experience, gaining a competitive edge, and finally, ethical and sustainable sourcing. Let's get to it. Starting off with Section 1, backbone of the restaurant, moving from intuition to strategy. Let's look at a real-world scenario from the sources. Picture a casual dining spot that is just constantly drowning in mid-service stockouts and menu shortages. Why? Because whoever was doing the ordering was relying purely on gut feeling and guesswork instead of a structured plan. And because of that wild intuition-based buying, some items were massively overordered and just got tossed in the trash, while other crucial ingredients completely ran dry before the dinner rush even ended. This total lack of a formal system led to a disastrous financial metric. Their food cost percentage ballooned to a staggering 40%. That completely blew past their target of 30%. And let's be real, in the restaurant business, bleeding 10% of your revenue to pure waste, that's practically a death sentence. But here's where it gets super interesting. Management finally stepped in and set up a formal procurement system. They used approved suppliers, actually scheduled their purchasing, and strictly monitored costs. The result? On the exact same 300,000 pesos in weekly sales, their food purchases dropped from 120,000 down to 90,000. Boom, a direct 10% drop in food cost. They didn't change a single thing on the menu, they literally just changed how they bought their ingredients. Which brings us to a really solid definition. Strategic procurement is all about aligning your supply chain activities with your core business goals to ensure profitability, manage inventory efficiently, and cut down waste. Think of it as the beating heart of a restaurant's internal supply chain. It handles everything, from forecasting inventory using first-in, first-out methods, to guaranteeing quality assurance, to even building out risk management contingency plans for when the broader supply chain inevitably hits a snag.
Okay, moving right along to Section 2, shaping menu performance, or creating data-driven dishes. Think about it. The most brilliant, mind-blowing recipe dreamed up by a Michelin star chef is completely useless if the right ingredients don't actually show up at the back door. Procurement and the menu are basically locked in this continuous high-stakes dance.
And this is exactly where menu engineering comes into play. By crunching the data, management can put menu items into categories. You've got your stars. Those are the highly popular, super profitable dishes. And then you have your dogs, low popularity, low profit. Smart procurement teams use this exact data to prioritize purchasing and lock in bulk pricing for the stars. Meanwhile, they cut the underperforming dogs to free up that precious, always limited physical space in the kitchen. This brilliantly illustrates a brutal cause and effect relationship. Imagine trying to throw together a signature caprese salad with rock-hard, totally unripe tomatoes. Total disaster, right? The whole rhythm of the kitchen breaks down, it throws off cooking times, ruins the plating, and ultimately just destroys your food cost targets. In this game, precision is absolutely everything. Now let's step out into the dining room for Section 3, driving the customer experience, the front-of-house reality. Because everything we just talked about in the back, it directly dictates what the guest actually feels, tastes, and perceives when they sit down at their table. Guests expect consistency above all else, and procurement is the invisible engine that makes that happen. When procurement drops the ball, you get this devastating domino effect. It kicks off with inefficient ordering, which then inevitably leads to unavailable menu items right in the middle of a Friday night rush. Then, those desperate kitchen substitutions lead to changes in taste. The scrambling back of house leads to agonizingly long wait times. And the final fatal domino? The complete loss of your regular customers. The broken supply chain literally broke the brand's reputation.
So how do we stop the dominoes from falling? Successful restaurants build a bulletproof procurement ecosystem. This means laying down strict standard operating procedures, so food prep is identical every single time. It means building deep collaborative partnerships with suppliers. It means plugging your procurement software directly into your point of sale data so you have real-time visibility. And crucially, it involves comprehensive staff training. The front of house needs to know exactly where the food comes from so they can confidently sell the menu to the guest.
That naturally brings us to Section 4, gaining a competitive edge. More than just food. You see, once you've mastered the basics of just surviving the dinner rush, procurement transforms. It stops being this traditional, boring cost center and turns into a downright weapon for market dominance. How exactly do you weaponize it? Well, through 4 strategic drivers. First, strong supplier relationships give you differentiation, meaning you get access to exclusive products your competitors literally can't get their hands on. Second, it unlocks supplier innovation, where vendors give you early access to new tech or trends. Third, it builds massive supply chain resilience to help you weather market shocks. And fourth, it establishes true cost leadership. So the really crucial point here is understanding that true cost leadership isn't just haggling with a farmer over the price of a tomato. It's rooted in something called the total cost of ownership, or TCO. This means optimizing the entire life cycle of an ingredient. You have to ask, how much does it cost to order it, to hold it in inventory, to prep it, to pay for the garbage bag when you throw out the waste? Mastering TCO is what separates the enthusiastic amateurs from the heavy hitters in this industry. Finally, we reach Section 5, ethical and sustainable sourcing, protecting people and planet. In today's business landscape, procurement goes way beyond just chasing the lowest cost and decent quality. The procurement team naturally steps up as the steward for the restaurant's broader impact on the world. And hey, this isn't just about checking a corporate PR box. It's about actively caring where things come from. It's seeking out suppliers who treat their workers fairly, demanding real transparency, and genuinely putting in the effort to minimize environmental waste. When you engage locally and source responsibly, it naturally resonates with today's highly conscious consumers. You end up building a brand that people actually feel good about supporting. Let's pull this all together and circle back to our initial case study to see how these pillars build on each other. By treating procurement as a strategic, data-driven, and highly ethical ecosystem, our struggling restaurant took those messy initial purchases of 120,000 pesos down to a sleek, optimized 90,000, all while keeping their sales absolutely constant at 300,000. They literally went from failing to thriving simply by mastering their internal supply chain. Which leaves us with this final provocative thought. The next time you look at a food order or sit down to consider a new supplier, I want you to ask yourself, are you just buying ingredients to survive the weekend service? Or are you strategically investing in your restaurant's long-term future, profitability, and reputation? Try stepping into your kitchens tomorrow with that strategic mindset and just watch how your operations transform.